Well, good morning and welcome back. We're live here in Mississippi at Mississippi Family Homestead, and today we're going to talk a little about gardening and whatever else comes up. We are actually outside when we planned this. I didn't realize how cold it was going to be.
Yeah, it's really cold this morning, but it is a far cry from yesterday. Yesterday morning, it was pouring down rain, and we are in the chicken coop live. But today, it's going to be a beautiful day here. It's going to be a little cool, but it's going to be beautiful. And I guess you can see in the background, the sun's coming up, and it's just going to be gorgeous today, even if it is a little cool. So I'm glad to see that because it's been hot for I don't know, a week. It's been in the 70s here. And, in Mississippi, you never can tell what kind of weather you're going to be dealing with. But, in the wintertime, we kind of want it to be a little cooler and not 70. So we're really enjoying this morning and how pretty it is. The sky is just gorgeous blue. There's no clouds anywhere, and the sun's coming up.
And yesterday when we went to town, I don't remember, did I have on shorts?
Yes, you had on shorts yesterday.
And it was comfortable yesterday after the rain moved through, and then now it was 34 degrees just a few minutes ago. So it's what a change.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's one of the things that'll throw you off when it comes to gardening is you'll want to plant some stuff. Of course, we know not to plant in January here, but you'll want to plant some stuff and then it'll all of a sudden freeze.
Yeah. So
it's the temperature here really changes a lot quickly, and I guess everywhere, but it seems in Mississippi it just seems really like it changes a lot. But we're going to finalize our seed orders today. Go ahead and get those in. I kind of wanted to have them last week, but we're going to go ahead and do that. And I learned this time to
order ahead of time, ahead of time.
Yeah, order ahead of time and have them shipped by the right place. I'm not going to, when they,
the post office doesn't do too well.
Last time I sent them by the post office, and it took literally 3 months for the thing to get here. Literally. And they said they lost it and all this stuff. So I think I had the option for UPS, so
yeah,
I'm gonna do that.
Okay, I didn't know we had an option.
Yeah, so I'm going to choose that option. It'll, it's $10 more, but it's better than having to order them again. So we're going to order those. We're going to order all of our tomatoes are going to be ordered online. Probably through 2 different places.
Yeah.
And they're not sponsors right now, but Baker Creek at rareseeds.com, they have a really nice choice.
Do. And Burpee?
Yeah, we probably get it from Burpee. That's where we got it for last few years. The hybrids, like the Better Boy, I think, is what grows real good down here in the South. And, the hybrids grow real good here. And so that's probably what we're going to do is do that. So let me make sure I can pull up the chat. Let's see here.
So we'd like to know in the chat if you're planning on having a garden this year and what you're going to plant in your garden. We'd love to know what your plans are.
And it's not too early to plant, well, it's almost, it's not too late, but it's just the right time to start planting it out. That way it give you a little time to get working on it. We're going to do the raised beds. And
probably back here behind where we are now, back behind us.
Back in here, the only problem is on a hill, a little bit of a hill.
We'll have to kind of fix that, but we'll have the advantage of putting it down here is, I don't know if you can see or not, but we have a pond, so we can actually pump water from the pond to the garden to water it when it gets really, really dry in the summertime. And it does.
I've always heard, for tomatoes, it's better to have water, from a pond.
Yeah. There's some kind of
like that instead. We use the city water, or I say city water. We're out in the county, but we use that. But I've always heard that it's better to have, rainwater for the garden.
Yeah.
But, we're going to do the raised beds this year. And it'll give us a little more control of the soil. I did find a place where we can scoop it up and put it in there, and then it's should be easier on weeds.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
weeds get out of control so easy out in the big garden.
Yeah.
We're still going to do the big garden, but hopefully it will be, we're going to kind of transition in the next few years to this.
To like a fully raised
Yeah.
bed.
I don't know that everything will, because we plant a lot of corn and peas.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we'll ever have all of the
room.
That would be
really.
a lot of
Yeah.
And the peas work really good out there.
And so does the corn. Yeah.
So it's and probably squash. We'll leave the squash out there. I think. I don't know. The squash
can go in a raised bed, but it does really well in the garden. So if we don't have enough room, then it's okay to put the squash out in the big garden. But you know, as we grow with the raised garden beds, I think those will work out better for us. It's just a little less. It's less maintenance, really.
We're getting older.
Yeah, it's hard
and
to.
that bending down. You know.
Yes.
It's really and it's the bending down in the middle of the summer when it's 95 degrees, very high humidity down here in Mississippi, and we'll probably do 2 or 3 per year. Build 2 or 3 per year as we go. So it's not something that we're going to all of a sudden be able to just jump in and everything be raised beds, but it is something we're working towards doing.
And also we're going to do probably a mixture. We'll buy some. We bought 2 and we've got those in, and he's going to start setting those up, but also he's planning on like building some out of some wood that he has. So maybe a couple of from wood we'll be able to do maybe 4 this year. And so that's our plan for this year.
Yeah, there'll be, I think, roughly 4 by 8.
Yeah.
And the wood I've got.
What were the ones that we ordered? Are they 8?
Yeah, they're 8 foot, I think.
Okay. So we ordered some, and I just kind of ordered 2 different ones just to see which ones were better. I know they're prefab, but they are metal. They're
they're metal ones.
Yeah, so they're not like wood or something that's going to rot and deteriorate. So I'm excited to see how those are going to turn out, and we set those up and how easy they are, to get set up.
And I know people that have raised beds, and they really like them, not having to bend over and do all the work like that. So, we're probably, if we could get one going in the next week or so, I want to go ahead and plant some lettuce, because that usually
lettuce
turns
does really good.
And we've been able to grow it in the winter here.
Yeah, and it's really so good in a salad, better than what you can buy in the grocery stores. Just
I think nothing beats just going out and getting that fresh lettuce.
You wash it and dry it, and it even it'll keep in the refrigerator for a little while, and it's just nice to be able to do that. And you can pick as much as you want. You don't you don't have to have a whole thing of lettuce. And sometimes if you buy that from the grocery store, it'll go bad if you don't use it within a couple of weeks. And that way, if it's out in the raised garden bed, it actually allows you to just pick just as much as you need for whatever you're cooking or doing for that day.
And the lettuce, we never did grow the balls of lettuce, did we? Like you buy in the grocery store?
No, it was just the kind that you go. I don't know what kind you call it.
My grandmother said she had a hard time growing the balls.
Like the ball, like the
heads of lettuce.
Yeah, the heads of lettuce.
Yeah, it grows the little
sprigs, I guess.
Yeah, the little stems, and that's what we cut. And you cut 2 or 3 stems will make a full salad.
Yeah. So.
And I do think it's better in the wintertime.
Yeah, it is.
The lettuce
it kind of gets wilted in the summer. It's too hot for it. It doesn't like it.
But we'll probably go ahead and plant some of it and get that growing in the ground, because excuse me, that's some early stuff that we can do. And then later on we're gonna we may plant some onions kind of early.
Yeah, we hadn't really had a whole lot of luck with planting onions, but we can try them again. I think they may do better in the raised garden bed.
Yeah.
Onions might.
With that loose dirt.
Yeah, with the loose dirt. And I like onions. I use onions for a lot of things to cook and to flavor with, like constantly using onions. So it'd be nice if we could grow some onions and have those, for flavor or whatever. Growing up, my grandmother would do the onions, but it would be the little small onion, I guess what you really call a chive. And she would eat that, just get it from the garden, the root, and wash it. And she would just sit there and eat one of those little things of onions with her meal. She enjoyed eating those little things of onions, and I like them too. But it wasn't like you think about the big onion now. She would just go pull that little onion out of the ground and wash it, and she loved those. She would eat them with her meals. So I like those too, but I use onions more as a flavoring than just to sit down and eat onions.
Yeah, and then we're looking to see when to plant everything, and what I did, just looked on Google for the last frost date of our area, which will be late March, around March 30th, and we've got 11 to 12 weeks.
Okay.
So we still got a little bit before we actually plant. We'll start seeds. We'll start tomato seeds. They take, I think, 6 to 8 weeks. So in just a few weeks, we'll plant those inside. Probably 1st of February, plant them inside that way to make sure the plants, if you plant them too soon, you're going to have them too big and too hard to handle. We do have a little greenhouse now, and we have a place to put them.
Yeah.
We have it before, so
maybe that'll be great that
we're
we have that
start getting
greenhouse.
that ready too.
Yeah.
To plant. But the tomatoes and peppers, squash, cucumbers, those are going to have to wait. And then the corn we plant early, and it's one of the first things, because last time when we planted the corn early, it really did good. The stalks, I think, weren't as tall,
really,
which turned out as good, but the advantage of it was we got to it, the bugs weren't as bad later on in the season.
Yeah.
In the corn.
I think it was ready at the big, like June.
I think so.
Yeah, it was early.
And the corn we planted was G90. It's a hybrid corn, so you can't recycle the seeds on it, but it did really good. It tastes really good. So that's
sweet corn. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of hybrids, and some people say that hybrids is about all you can grow now, but we grow some of the, I think our favorite tomato to grow
is the Lincoln, the Abe Lincoln.
Yeah, it's an Abe Lincoln seed. It's a heirloom seed. We get it from Baker's Creek, and they say it's a real tasty tomato.
Yeah, it is.
I don't think on the vine, I don't think there's as many as the hybrid tomatoes. We've got a little heater down here. It's kind of burning my leg, but
it's not burning mine. I'm cold.
It helps, don't it?
It does help.
But anyway, those, I think we're really looking forward to it, and I think it helps to get out in the garden. And by the way, we still have full-time jobs, both of us. So we're going to, and halfway in the garden season, my job will be scaled down some, so I'll get to spend more out in the garden.
And then, speaking of your garden and our chickens, there's a lot of things that you can feed your chickens out of the garden. If you have a tomato that's not looking too good and doesn't or goes bad, you can always feed that to the chickens. And
not the tomato leaves.
No, not the tomato leaves, but the tomatoes. And they love the cucumbers. Like if you don't pick a cucumber, in time, because cucumbers can get really big and they're not good when they get really big. My chickens love those, so we give them a lot of scraps and stuff from the garden whenever we have it. And they'll eat like the corn. if you'll just give them the corn on the cob, if you have a bad one that had a lot of worms or something, give that to them. They love those. So, that's some things that we do also, in the garden, and it helps to not waste, and it feeds the chickens in the summertime.
Yeah, and they get nutrition and stuff from that,
Yeah.
so that helps out. We didn't grow a garden last year. And
we didn't plan it that way until it got, I don't know, springtime, and we were just like, we were building the new chicken pen, and it was just like, we just don't have time to do it, and so we didn't do it, and we really missed it.
Yeah, we're gonna make it a priority this year.
Yeah.
Because last year we had the chicken coop and finishing the shop, and we still had to. We had to do all that. We just decided it's no way we could have done everything.
Yeah, it was just too much. And with us working full time, it's really hard sometimes for us to do a bunch of projects, and hopefully when he cuts back at work, we'll be able to do more projects than, what we're able to do now. And, in the future, I hope there are some more animals and bigger garden, more stuff to grow, all the raised garden beds that we want. I would love to do some of those projects, and he does do most of the projects around here. It's just something that we want to do.
Hopefully we can get to where we can both do a lot of the projects.
Yeah.
Hopefully get it to where you can spend more time out there.
Right. It's our plan now, just for, in mid-summer, for him to cut back at work, but I'm still working a full-time job. I do work from home, so it is nice, especially in, the spring and the summertime. I do get off at 4 o'clock, so I still can spend time outside in the afternoons and work with the chickens and work in the garden and that kind of stuff, because it doesn't get dark till 7:30 or 8, especially in the summertime. So I can work outside after I get off work, but off my real job. But it is a lot. It's a lot to do when you have a full-time job, to work on a homestead and a farm and do all of those things.
But if you're thinking, if you're just joining and you're looking at starting a homestead, it is possible to, you see there's a lot of YouTubers that are full-time YouTube and have a farm, and you can still homestead with a full-time job.
You can.
You do have to plan it out. Yeah. You're not going to be able to watch TV a lot.
Yeah.
But,
and if you're really dreaming about having a homestead, it is doable with a full-time job. You just have to spend time, on it. You can't, just sit in the house watching football games and stay on your phone and, watch TV all the time. It's work.
Right, because in the summer you'll be, when you get home, you'll be picking stuff out in the garden.
Yeah.
And then, on the weekends you'll probably spend, putting up your stuff. But that time is a lot more rewarding too, because
it is.
You realize how much time we really waste in our society. And the older days, about 150 years ago, I don't think they wasted a lot of time.
No, they didn't.
They were trained not to. They were brought not to waste time as much. And I think in the wintertime they got a break a little bit, depending on where they live. But I think now we've
gotten away from that.
Yeah, we got away from that, and with TV and everything coming around.
Now, my grandpa worked a full-time job and still had a garden and stuff, but now my grandma didn't. And she worked in the garden too when she was at home, but he did have a full-time job, and he worked in the garden and brought in all those vegetables and stuff, regardless of having a full-time job.
And not only did they have a garden, they had a beautiful garden.
They did.
A huge, beautiful garden. And
it was rows and rows of corn and all kinds of stuff.
And it was, my grandfather did that too. He worked and had just amazing garden, and it wasn't just a few rows, and it wasn't just the vegetables. They had the flowers.
Yeah.
I mean, it was beautiful, and they worked, which I didn't know yours when they were working, when he was working full time. But I know when met you, the garden was just
Yeah,
really
now he was
beautiful.
retired when you met me, but he did have a garden and worked.
They knew how to really get things done.
They did.
They weren't as lazy as we are these days.
And they had, let's see, when he may have been retired, but we had chickens and stuff too when I was young, and he kept those up, and he just was able to do all of that and stuff, and we want that for ourselves, to have that garden and fresh vegetables and not have to go to the store. I think it's just become like a convenience and not a necessity. Like people just go into the store and buying your stuff as just a convenience now, and you don't think really about what you're eating and what they've done to those vegetables, especially the fresh ones, to preserve them, and the things that they put in them to preserve them. And even the canned stuff, those do come from gardens and stuff, and those, I hear they put all kinds of chemicals and stuff on those big farms to keep those, preserved and from deteriorating. And I don't want all that stuff. I think sometimes it makes us sick as a society, eating all of those preservatives that we eat.
And, when we were driving up to North Mississippi, there's a lot of where they grow corn.
Yeah.
And I asked somebody, I said, how do they not get weeds growing under their corn? And he said they plant a special seed that's immune to the weed killer.
Really?
Whatever you call it.
But they use weed killer.
That's what he told me. They use weed killer, but it kills everything but the corn.
Oh my goodness.
Because I thought, wow, how do they, because there's no way that nobody's going to go pick all the weeds out there.
Yeah.
These are huge fields, but they do, they spray stuff, chemicals there to keep the weeds down, and the seeds are immune to, the plants are immune to that.
My goodness.
So, all of that's in our food.
Yeah. And like, we talk about our chickens, in those, what they feed those chickens and how they treat some of those chickens is just not humane to me. The chickens live in these small cages, and they don't roam free or, have any kind of a life really to enjoy themselves. Even I just feel like they need that kind of life to be able to roam around a little bit. And
yeah, because ours can, they're real happy. They're spread out.
Yeah, and
now they're in the coop, but we're going to put them a place to run around.
Yeah, and they have room. They have plenty of room. But, I just think about the other, chickens that live in those cages and stuff. It's just really, it's not humane. And then even, the chickens that we buy to eat, those, what do they feed those? They feed them something to fatten them up and to get them, grow them faster so they can harvest them, earlier. And, that's just things to think about. It really bothers me sometimes to think about those things. And, that's one reason we have chickens, even though they're not laying their eggs right now. I haven't bought, I think I bought eggs because I didn't have any for maybe Thanksgiving. I had to buy some. And when I did buy, the organic ones, where they're supposedly free range or whatever. So I did buy those. So.
And I wonder what they mean by free range.
Right. What do they mean?
I don't think it's running around in somebody's yard because their free range probably means they have a little bigger cage.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know.
I don't know. They may free range, but
if you've ever watched like the videos and stuff of even the farms where they grow lots of food and stuff, and you have to wonder, what they do to all of this food, and I know for a fact you know, like any imported fruits, like, you know, bananas or whatever, they definitely put something on those to preserve them to get them here, you know.
And tomatoes, they have to.
Yes.
I don't, you know, when you go buy one in the grocery store, it lasts a lot longer than the ones out in the garden.
Right. So it's something's not quite right. And apples, you know, I know they put something on them. You know, they have like, it's almost like a wax film on them, almost. When you're eating an apple. Now, I usually peel my apples, but some people don't like to peel theirs and they eat the skin. But, you know, I just think about what if they put on the, you know, on the outside. So I normally peel an apple if I'm going to eat one. But, you know, it's just things to think about, and how, you know, you can grow your own stuff and not worry about having those preservatives and stuff in your food.
And we don't have our fruit tree. You know, we started a peach tree. I think the peach tree may have died.
You think it's dead? It may be dead.
I hope it's not dead. But we have a peach tree and an apple tree. I think the apple tree died too, didn't it?
Well, we're not sure. We'll have to wait and see if it comes back. It finally produced apples.
After 5 years, it produced apples, and then it looks like it died. Maybe it didn't.
Well, we can go check. Now, if you're checking a fruit tree in the wintertime, if you'll go kind of bend the limbs on it, if they're not dead, they'll be green. You know, they won't snap real easily. So we probably need to go check it and just see if we can find some limbs that are dead or if it's still green. And we can tell on the peach tree too about that.
So is the other little stub a part of the peach tree?
Yes, the little stub. It just kind of grew. It's kind of part of the peach tree. So we'll see.
We planted it. It's real close to the chicken coop now. You know, the chicken coop came later, but
it's probably small enough that if it is alive, we can transplant it, you know, dig around it and dig up its roots and transplant it and get some more peach trees. You know, I'd love to do that, you know,
and
plant them.
Those peaches, we had
it was a peach. Georgia something, a Georgia.
It's got the white peach inside. And it's one of the best peaches I've ever eaten. Yeah,
it was, when we did have some off of it, it was delicious. Now, the peach trees, you know, they produce the first year or so. They're not like the apple trees. Sometimes the apple tree, you have to wait for it to start producing, but the peach trees, they'll have a few peaches the first year or two. So they do really well.
Yeah. And that's another thing we need to this year plant some more trees. Find a place to plant some more.
Plant some peach trees and maybe another apple tree or something like that. You know, we have the scuppernuggs up there.
Blueberries. We do have
a blueberry tree. It's actually doing well.
Well, we had 2 of them. People wonder, why didn't you have one? But we had 2, and it died.
But this one does.
Trees.
Last year, I think I got a pretty good many blueberries off of it. It does pretty well. And maybe we need to get another one to go with it.
We also have a pear tree that is very old.
Yeah, it still produces pears. But, you know, I don't really like pears, you know. A lot of people do, though. So if you like pears, you can get you a pear tree, but
come pick our pears.
Yeah.
I like them. I mean, you know, but we need to, some of them are up pretty high. We'll have to get somebody in the tractor to pick them. Some of them, but it's a really old tree, too.
It's extremely
old. Pear tree.
And it's still producing.
Yeah.
And another thing that we have, I noticed, we have a hickory tree, and it actually has gotten pretty big, and it's producing hickory nuts. So if, you know, that's just one thing. I
got a dumb question.
Yeah.
Can you eat a hickory nut?
Yes, you can eat a hickory nut. You just have to, it's like a pecan. You have to pick all the stuff out of it to eat it.
Where's the hickory tree?
The one in the front yard up there is a hickory tree.
You can eat those little things?
Yes, you can eat those things.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and, you know, like...
I don't think you eat
like
those
pecan
things.
Trees, but those take forever to mature and to get ready.
We have pecan trees, but they're
ancient old.
Yeah, they're probably 100 years old, so they quit producing.
Yeah, and let's see.
Huge tree.
Another thing might be some plums. I like plums. And
You know, when we were growing up, there were plum trees were growing wild
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, there were.
Around Mississippi, and because we would stop. I'm sure we were trespassing, but we would stop and just start picking them.
yeah, yeah,
You
the
know,
plums. Yeah.
Daddy would see a plum tree. We would just pull over, get a bucket, go pick them, and go on.
We do have one of those, but I think it's gotten older and bigger, and
Did
it don't.
y'all never did that?
No, they had plum trees on the Papa and Mama had plum trees.
Where?
There was
the
one,
garden?
Yeah, around the garden. There was one back here, like way down, kind of in the woods, and then there was a couple up there that they had, and we would eat plums. And plums make really good jelly too. Yeah, I love my jellies. I like making
that's her
jellies.
favorite thing to do, I think, is make jellies.
Yeah.
We made jelly out of fruit juice. It's, you know, if you haven't ever tried that, try it.
Yeah.
It's a real easy thing to do if you want a first kind of homesteading kitchen project to do. I think making jelly
is really the easiest
We've got a video
thing
on there about that, but you know, you can make jelly just out of 100% fruit juice that you can get at the store. And we also make jelly out of, let's see,
the fruit. I mean,
the scuppernong, which is a muscadine.
Now my blueberries, I didn't have enough to make jelly, but somebody gave me a bunch of blueberries and I made jelly.
There's also a blueberry bush at the church, isn't it?
Yes, and everybody goes and picks off the blueberry bush.
We go to a small church, and there's an old blueberry bush out there that just
it just produces.
Begging for people to just get blueberries.
And we did. I think a lot of people do. They'll go pick the blueberries off the church blueberry bush.
Yeah,
that's a fun thing to do.
That's kind of one of the neat things of being in a little old country church.
Yeah.
You know, that. And speaking of that, it's, you know, I know Wednesday nights they'll during garden season people bring all their extra stuff up there, and you know, like.
So if you're planning on having a garden, or you do have a garden, that's one thing you can do is share with your neighbors. You know, if you've got excess and don't really have anywhere to put it up, you can always share with the neighbors. And you know, that's what we do at church. Everybody brings their tomatoes, and I think they've brought some hot peppers.
Hot peppers,
yes, they love doing that. They bring a bag of hot peppers and we eat it.
And there's somebody, it's not you, but there's somebody that brings eggs every Sunday.
Yeah, not me.
You know, we don't have they're going to be bringing us eggs probably, but you know, if you're in a small church, that, you know, that's, you know, we're a small country church, and that one of the advantages of that.
Yeah.
I mean, well, you could do that in a big church. It doesn't have to be a small church, but any group of people, you can, if you have some extras, you can kind of go and exchange.
That's right.
You know, and you know, when we changed churches, we were in the city church, and I had some friends that grew gardens, but
here
most
in the
of the
small
people
church.
there were not garden people.
Right.
They were the grocery store people, but you know, and we were talking about earlier about like the society being kind of, I don't know, lazy when it comes to our food. You know, I think in the past 2 years, I think society's gotten even lazier, because I noticed at work, you know, used to we were considered lazy if we went to fast food and ate. Now you have
Uber.
the food Uber thing, whatever you call it. I see people, you know, they don't even get out to go get the fast food. They have it brought to them.
Yeah.
So, you know, what's next?
Right.
You know, we went all the way from growing your own food about, you know,
50 years ago even.
50 years ago or at least 100 years ago to now, where we won't even go out to get it.
Yeah, from the store, you have to order it, and they bring it to you.
Imagine what the people 100 years ago would think of us now.
I know.
Would they
would
think
not
we were a
know
little
what to think. Yes, they would.
You know, you think, I mean, it's really, I don't think we were, I'm, you know, not trying to put down people that do the, because I guess back when we were growing up, the only thing you could order and have brought to you was pizza.
Right. That's right. When you were at work or wherever at home, you could order pizza and they delivered it to you.
They don't bring it out here.
No,
this is where she grew up.
And it, they don't bring it. Uber doesn't bring it out here either.
We've never tried. I
don't know if they would. They probably
cost a fortune.
It probably would. So
I've never used that. What do you call it? The
Uber.
Uber's where you.
Oh, Uber's the like taxi.
Yeah, we're sounding pretty dumb.
So we don't know what is it called? DoorDash.
DoorDash.
It's
that's
DoorDash.
What it's called.
Yeah.
See,
we don't even know.
DoorDash.
I hadn't either. That's why I don't know the name.
Yeah.
So yeah, Uber's the driving people.
Yeah. And
So
I know in some places it's just better to have DoorDash, but ours, we're in our town. You're not really getting in any traffic going to get it.
Yeah. So why do it?
But some people do, and there's one person. He's right now because of medical reasons not able to drive, and I understand him.
Yeah.
Doing that.
Yeah.
That's that works out okay for him. But it's just, overall we have gotten so lazy at our society.
We have.
And with all this,
they talk about the health, other countries talk about the health of Americans and how bad it is, and that.
Well, it's because of our food supply.
Yeah, I think so too. And we are lazy, and we're blessed. Most people are not, homeless or whatever, and they can afford to buy whatever food they need, but, in other countries, they say that Americans are, that they're unhealthy. And, I think it's Japan. They're one of the healthiest countries that there is, and cleanest too,
Well, I was watching a YouTube channel that she went over to, or several people have gone over to Japan and other countries. They even eat at McDonald's or KFC.
Yeah. And they don't feel
like if you go to McDonald's now and you just feel bloated, and they don't have that same feeling. It just doesn't feel as unhealthy going to those places.
Then, another thing that we do here in America, sometimes I think we have too many rules about the food. For instance, the eggs that come from the chickens, they wash them, and I don't even know what they wash them with. You don't have to wash the eggs from the chickens. You really don't. You could wipe them to get them clean, but you don't really have to wash them. And in other countries, they don't. They sell eggs, from off the shelf. And it actually the eggs will last for 2 months, not put in the refrigerator if you don't wash them. And other things, like we were talking about putting the preservatives and stuff in the foods, I think maybe we do that too much here, in some ways. I know we want to be safe and have good food, and there should be regulations, but sometimes I think our regulations go too far.
Well, I'm a very patriotic person. I want to say that before I say this, but I think a lot of that, or most of it, is because the huge corporations have so many lobbyists, and I think it's all about money, whether it's the people that make the preservative stuff or whatever. I think it's, in this country, it's about the money. I don't think it's about the safety as much.
I agree.
Because it's, Japan's got a pretty safe food system from what I hear.
Yeah.
And it's just about it's all these lobbyists in Washington that are, that control everything and control basically the food supply. And we've shifted to, 50 years ago, or I know 40 years ago when I was little, you would drive around, everybody had cows. Everybody in the country had cows, not in the city, but there was all these little
farms and stuff. Everybody had a little
and
little
you could
garden.
go to a meat packing plant. Take your cow to a local meat place. Now in our city, I don't think there's
just
one
not
here. Because they're so strict on everything.
I think we have to send them down. I don't know, down the way somewhere. to we got some chats.
And I'm trying to read. I'm sorry. I need to get a bigger screen. And here, you can.
Let's see if I can read it.
Yeah, the bottom one there. Somebody was feeding the chickens on the other one.
Austria. Vienna. Okay.
Well, hello to Austria. So do you do a lot of gardening over there in Austria?
Yeah, we'd love to know that. So let us know. Do you? We're glad you stopped by.
And is the food system, is it like in the United States where we have so many preservatives?
We love to know what y'all have in other countries,
and
what
I
your
think
system is.
In our country, I don't know about other countries, our countries, these huge conglomerates have slowly phased out the little people that
and everything is so big. Every farm is almost a corporation now, and they've phased out the real farmers.
I mean, they've gotten so big that so who was that was in Austria? We're gonna have to get bigger text for our chat here.
We're sorry.
I'll work on that next time. So.
I don't know. Joe Tiago. I'm not
thank
sure.
you very much.
Yeah,
for watching.
thank you for watching, and I'm glad you watch our chicken stream too.
Yeah, and it's going now, and I think somebody fed the chickens earlier. I've been starting the stream early because one day they woke up really early. And I thought,
okay. So you said actually not. I live in the city, but homesteading sounds like a dream to me. Okay.
Oh well, that's cool. Well, we're in our 50s, and we're just starting basically. We've had this land. This is family land, but we're just starting now. So
and like we were saying, if it's your dream, you can still do some stuff. You grow your own stuff on your back porch. There's things you can do.
In buckets. We used to have some buckets back here, but you could grow them and start there, and hopefully you could move to the country one day because.
I apologize for the sun. I think it's shining and you can't see us really good. It's kind of blocking us.
Yeah, I know that's not proper camera techniques, but it's a little harder to move it right now. We
didn't think about it would come up and block our view.
But we just, so don't give up on homesteading because we just started.
Basically, we did.
Roughly 5 years ago, we're not where we want to be anyway.
No, we're not.
But we figure we better kick it up a notch because we're getting older.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be able to do that. Just hit the skip on the advertising.
Yeah.
So don't give up and, keep aiming towards that goal. And that's really what our channel is about, is trying to encourage people to do that if that's what you want to do. And I know last year we were talking about the garden. Last year we didn't do the garden and felt like something was missing.
Yeah, we missed our garden last year.
And I didn't realize how much I would miss it, but it's kind of like therapy.
It is, yeah. And my chickens are my therapy. The garden is his therapy.
Yeah. So I love getting out there in the garden. Maybe not quite as much. Around here, it gets very hot in the summer. So I think I'll do some early mornings, late evenings this year. But, it's rewarding to get out there and see that food come up. And we usually can have almost a year's worth of
food for us.
Now, I'm not going to say that means we don't go to the grocery store because
we do.
We still do, but surely it cuts down a lot.
It does cut down a lot. And, it's the fact that you're able to eat different things when it's garden season. In the wintertime, if you don't have your food put up, you kind of have to go to the grocery store and buy stuff. But in the summertime, you have the fresh tomatoes and that kind of stuff, and you can supplement your going to the grocery store and buying stuff. It cuts down on it a lot. Like we said, even making fresh salads and having fresh fruits in the summertime cuts down on the bill significantly.
Yeah.
When
now on the other hand,
store.
The gardening does cost something, but I think you get more for your money on the garden.
I think you do too. The seeds don't cost hardly at all, and once you get started, and like we said, you can grow stuff in a raised garden bed, and you don't have to buy the tillers and the tractors and that kind of stuff for your raised garden beds, and raised garden beds in a city would, you
that
could
would be
do
perfect.
that.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, if I were in a city, I would get a raised garden bed and just grow what I could in those beds.
I think if we were still at the same place we moved from, which was in a subdivision, I would do the raised beds.
Yeah, and it was a little less than an acre what we had, wasn't it? But we could have done a raised garden bed if we needed to, where we lived.
Now the HOA says you can't have a garden there.
Well, yeah, you have to watch out for the HOAs because they'll tell you can't.
But they weren't
things.
Real strict, so
no, they wasn't.
But I would have had a.
Let's see what else we're saying.
Maybe plant flowers around it and say it's a flower bed.
Okay, so he says he would like to see a tour of our farm and how it's going. So we
will do that.
We'll do that. And are we completely off grid? No, we're not off grid. We're still now what we call modern.
Talking about, we're not off grid here, but we have, you can't really see it, but back here, we're starting to clear off a place, and it's not even a full road going to it. So
our dream is to have a cabin back there that is off grid. I'm
hoping I have started clearing that part off, and we do want a off grid cabin, and I feel like that's where I'll spend most of my time.
I think you will. Now, as he backs off from his job, he'll be able to to build that cabin.
Of course, we won't have the money to do as much,
right, but I mean, he has a sawmill, so a lot of the trees and stuff he can use for that cabin. He can saw them on the sawmill and use that wood, so that saves. And that is one investment that we did make, is getting a sawmill. So because we have a lot of building projects, so we've gotten some people that's cut down trees or whatever and gave them to us, and it really helped a lot. I think you used it a good part of the wood for the shop.
Yeah, building the shop. And I thought about doing a tour this morning, but I don't know that, the foam will go all around the property. So
yeah, we may have to do
what
a
I'll
video.
do is test it out, and we may do a live tour next week if we can. I need to test it out, but we do have a garden area out front. We just built a greenhouse. It's a Harbor Freight greenhouse. I think we got it on sale.
Yeah, I think we did. And we'll use it this year to grow our stuff.
We've got a lot of cleaning up to do, and we've got a long way to go, but we do have a lot of land. It's 46 acres, but we probably only use about maybe 4 or 5 acres of that land, for our garden and our homes, and our son and our daughter both live, on the land also. So, we don't even use all of that land. It's set, to hunt on or just to go in the woods and relax. That's one thing that's so enjoyable for us, is just being able to go in the woods and walk and look at nature and stuff. And we are blessed to have, that land. I inherited that land, and if you're going out and buying a homestead, you don't have to have 46 acres. You could do it on a half an acre if you. I mean, you could really be, really efficient with it, because we do the garden the old school way just because we've got that. But if I were starting over,
you just do the raised garden beds.
I would do the raised beds. You can be more economical with your space that way, and you can just fit a lot more in that way. And talking about your dream is to homestead, my dream is to have an off-grid cabin, and to get away. I'm on call 24/7, and I want to get rid of this cell phone and not be on call. That's my dream, and hopefully I can make that happen. So I've been on call for a long time, and I'm ready to not be on it anymore. But I do. We haven't really decided what size cabin we're going to do. You know,
It probably won't be very big.
nothing big, but I want it so we can, you know, live there somewhat, and we'll probably keep this place before, you know, because I'm 55, and I do understand at some point I'm not going to be able to
go all the way to the cabin in the backwoods.
You know,
and we have 4-wheelers and that kind of stuff. We owe a side by side, so we probably could.
And you know, we have those,
while.
but let me tell you, we've gotten good deals on that. Like somebody gave us, like, you know, we have all this stuff, but we didn't go out and buy it.
Yeah.
I think the only thing we actually went out and bought was the tractor.
And that was new. That was a new purchase. And
you know, but other than that, you know, somebody gave us the old tractor. We did buy one of the smaller tractors, the used ones. It was 1980 model.
Yeah, and it didn't cost a whole lot. But it still ran, and it came with a bunch of attachments. So when we first started,
that was all we had.
Because
all of where we're sitting now was a wooded area, like behind us. I don't know if you could see with the sun.
It was cleared by hand.
We got a chainsaw, and we cleared it by hand.
Yeah, and when we used the 4-wheelers, which we said we didn't really buy those were kind of built by our son.
Yeah,
That's
our son
his hobby.
does. His hobby is doing 4-wheelers or ATVs, depending on where you are. But you know, he's kind of supplied us with those, and we had the mule. What do you call the mule? The
side by side.
Side by side.
Yeah.
The side by side. Somebody gave us that because it wasn't working, and we fixed it. So all of these things we didn't buy.
Right. So he's asking about our chickens. So he doesn't want to harvest. It's hard for me too. I can't harvest chickens or harvest rabbits or anything like that. We don't do that. We do go buy our meat. We have talked about meat birds, and that possibly is a goal for the end of the year this year, is to do the meat birds. I can't, like, these chickens are my pet chickens. They're like my pets, like a dog or cat, and I can't kill them. You know, I've hatched most of them. I have a really, really hard time with that.
And some of them, if something happened to them, you'd be devastated.
Yes, I would be devastated. But I feel like if I get the meat birds, I just won't attach myself to them like I do these. You know, we have talked about it. You do have to have the equipment to do it. You have to have the little combs to put the bird's head down in, and you just kind of, you slit their throat, and you have to have a plucker for the feathers and all of that. We don't have any of that equipment yet, but we have talked about that being one of our goals for this year, is to do that, and I do think we can.
If we bought those birds for that purpose.
Yeah, I think so.
And it sounds strange, but we really, we're animal people.
Yes, we love our animals.
But I think we're going to have to realize that, the meat we get from the grocery store, look what, they go through.
Yeah.
But it's, so far, I don't think we've been able to kill an animal and eat it. Besides, a deer. We have we have harvested a deer before. But as far as the chickens, these are the pets.
Yeah, they are.
They're well guarded.
And we have talked about doing some, maybe with a cow, going in with a neighbor or something, and having one butchered and taken to the butcher.
Not actually raised here, but maybe
on a farm, or buy one together with a friend or neighbor, and have that harvested. And a cow would feed a family for a year, and half a cow would definitely feed us for almost a year. So that's just something that we've thought about too, doing. So we're not actually, raising that animal and sending it to be slaughtered. A lot of people, homesteaders, raise pigs too, and hogs, and send those to be butchered.
I'm thinking about maybe trying to do that, but again, I hate for the pig to turn into a pet and then we not be able to get rid of it. But I forgot what I was going to say. I know, it's, back in the older days, her grandfather grew up not on this land but nearby. And this was an extremely rural place back then.
It really
in this
was.
area, and no electricity, and it was very rural. Well, if he had chickens not laying eggs, what would they do?
He would kill them, and they would eat
harvest them in no time. They wouldn't even think about it.
So he's asking about predators. The predators, we haven't really had a whole lot of predators to come around. We did have some baby chickens, and we built this new chicken pen, which we did a live stream yesterday in our new chicken pen, and kind of went around and showed that if you wanted to go back and watch that. But we built this new chicken pen, and we thought it was safe, and I had some baby chickens, and raccoons actually got in the chicken pen, and they killed those baby chickens. They were juvenile, they were about 3 months old maybe, so they wasn't like in an area where they were really, really safe. I had went ahead and put them, in kind of the run area and thought they were safe. But raccoons, obviously, they can fit through these little cracks, and we found that out.
They climb too.
Yeah, and then in the past, we had maybe a coyote come around, but it didn't get any chickens because they were inside a fenced area. We've had a problem with some wild dogs coming around. They didn't catch any either because we did have the fence up and we had the chickens inside it. And I had a hawk that got a chicken one time. It flew in there, and the hawk was half the size of the chickens, and it killed one.
The hawks hawks and owls can do some damage on chickens.
Yeah.
But and I'm sorry for pointing right into the sun, but we'll when we built the chicken coop, under the chicken coop we do have some wire so they can't dig.
Yeah.
We had on the overhang, it probably overhangs about this much, probably 5 inches, and we didn't really think about something crawling through there, and that's where the raccoons got through.
Yeah, so we had to,
and they, that was a bad time, so we did decide, we learned in the coop to try to make sure everything is covered.
And I was like, we didn't know what got the chickens when the raccoons broke in. They're little.
Yeah.
They're little, I don't know, they just like to break into things. They're burglars. But we didn't know what had killed the chickens, and I thought it was maybe some wild bobcat or something, because I didn't know how it had gotten into the chicken pen. But though it went through this small space.
We finally figured it out by the security cameras.
Yeah, we have a security camera, and I looked on the security camera, and they were just in the chicken pen having a good time eating the chicken food and catching my babies.
Yeah.
So we did secure that, and we hadn't had a problem since then.
Yeah. And let's see. We did have a few weeks ago, there was a white quail that stopped by that got loose from somewhere.
Was a pigeon. I think it was a pigeon.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
A pigeon. It had a little yellow tag. We never did see the yellow tag, but it came by.
Thank you for watching. We appreciate you stopping by, and we're glad to know that somebody wants to know about the homestead, and we appreciate you stopping by and chatting with us.
And we're going to go in a few minutes because we got to go to church.
Yeah,
in just a few minutes. So
thank you.
Hope you have a great day.
Yeah.
But yeah, just recently we did have, talking about predators. We had a pigeon, is a beautiful white pigeon, came by, and it was tagged. I don't know where it was from, but we were going to try to rescue it, and an owl actually got that pigeon.
Yeah.
So an owl can do some damage, and they're coyotes are probably one of the biggest predators here.
They are.
And the raccoons.
The coyotes, we had one come up during the day, and I had to kind of get the gun after. I didn't shoot it, but I shot at it, and to get it away from the chickens. It must have been a straggler or something. It just came up by itself.
You hardly ever see them in the daytime.
No, you don't. The wild dogs now, there was like 3 of those. They came in, and they was trying to break into those chicken pen. We've had some snakes, but the snakes have never ate a chicken or tried to bother the chickens. They only ate eggs.
And I know most people say, oh, well, if it's a snake, it's a snake. But with this, I think most of the time the snakes that have been in the chicken coop have been non-poisonous.
Yeah, they have.
Like a little chicken snake and, like that. And then we've got a little king snake that hangs around here somewhere.
But king snakes are good.
Yeah, in our area, we like to have the king snakes because they actually take
care of the bad
ones. So, we do have a water moccasin down at the pond. Hopefully,
it doesn't really bother us though.
Hopefully, she never comes up here.
Yeah, I hope so.
But
she stays down there.
Yeah, and now a predator for our fish are the otters.
Yes.
The cute little otters, they will eat a lot of fish. They will tear your pond up. The otters and the beavers are bad about the beavers tear the dam up, and then the otters eat my fish.
Yeah. So if you have a pond on a homestead or a farm, just know that you can have predators for the fish.
Want out?
Yes, I think the dog wants out.
Yeah.
You think I can just go get the dog and let the dog out?
Go get the dog.
Yes.
So, but anyway, talking about the predators, the pond, we've had a big problem with the otter down there, and I saw on the camera down there the otter got a really big fish, a big catfish. So it was I didn't know they would eat fish that were quite that big. So that's one thing you got to be prepared for, is dealing with the predators. And whether you're out in the country or not, you're going to have to deal with predators because that's part of nature. And
our chairs were wet, so I do have a towel on the chair.
It rained. It's been
it poured rain.
We've had every event of weather come through here in Mississippi because earlier we said yesterday we started a live stream out. Because this is our first weekend of doing, we've been doing some nightly live streams, but we decided to do them different times.
Yeah.
Yesterday is when we're going to focus, like on Saturdays, talking about chickens. So we thought, well, let's be in the chicken coop. And
it was pouring rain.
Yeah.
So we did go in the chicken coop, and we did do a live yesterday from the chicken coop, and it finally let up, and we were able to kind of walk around and show y'all the chicken pen and the chickens and stuff, and we're planning on doing that next weekend too.
Yeah.
Or on an early Saturday morning, and we we enjoy just sharing our events and our homesteading journey with y'all, to try to show y'all how it is in the real world. A lot of times you watch these reality shows and even some homestead channels, and they make it look like so easy and stuff, and we want to show y'all the real side of that, not the fake side of that it's all joyous all the time, and that there's never just like the weather.
Yeah.
You can't control the weather, and those things happen. So we just want to be real about those kind of things and share with y'all.
Yeah, we're gonna we'll bring you the good and the bad, and it's because that's what it is realistically, and it we're not a big TV show. There's a lot of good homesteading channels out there that are real, but there are some that
aren't real. It's more like and a lot of YouTube channels, not even talking about homestead, that are not real. It's not realistic stuff. And we want to be real and realistic with y'all and share the real life of a homestead and the struggles that we have, like the chickens not laying eggs. And
I'd say that's a pretty big struggle, because we would like to do a video about how many eggs we have, but we're we're at church seeing everybody else's eggs, and but we're still not getting many eggs.
No, we're not.
And that's
I got
honest
2
struggle.
eggs out of 15 well, my silkies are laying eggs, so they're laying like 3 a day. So I'm getting the silky eggs, but they're small, so it's like you have to take 2 silky eggs to make a large egg, a regular egg.
Yeah.
So 3 eggs from them a day, and then I got 2 from the other hens yesterday.
And another thing that was real with us last year is we just, with the garden,
we didn't do it.
We didn't do it because we literally did not have enough time. And
right.
That's what, we work full-time jobs and do this. So YouTube's not our full-time job right now, but
we appreciate everybody that stopped by, and we want to share our real life with y'all and what our struggles that we go through, and we hope that we can help anybody that's trying to start a homestead or just growing something on their back porch. You can do that, or on your deck, even if you're in a city.
Yeah, and realistically, you might run out of time too. You may get halfway through the garden and realize you can't finish it. Don't get stressed out. Just, at least you tried it.
And it's real. It's real. It really is real.
It is real, and that's what we're about. And trying to think of other stuff that's happened last year, but
just life in general. Like, our daughter wanted a place to live, so we converted. Scott had built his wood shop.
3 shops, and I'm not able to have any of the. Our first shop we built, we actually lived in, and
he used it, and it was nice, but it burned.
It burnt. It burned down. There was a something we ordered on Amazon. Some grow lights actually caught on fire and burned it down. So.
Which is another thing, talking about gardening. If you're starting seeds indoors, make sure whatever grow lights that you buy that they're
UL listed, or one of these certification
certification
There's another
company.
certification company.
And I think I've seen some other videos where people had grow lights and they had started fires.
Really?
I saw one. So
be very careful.
Yeah,
be
very careful.
And so what I didn't even order the grow lights that we replaced them. We
went to the store and
Lowe's
spent the money.
Yeah, I got
to get nice ones.
The expensive ones that are built better and don't have the cheap cords. So
so that shop did burn because of the grow lights.
Not only grow lights, but let me say this: when you're ordering something online, and we do order stuff online, but if it's electrical, I would make sure it's certified.
Right.
Because I think some other countries don't have the same restrictions we have, and I think that's where it is good to have restrictions.
Yeah.
So be careful, because that stuff can cause a fire.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, we do have the grow lights set up now, and but anyway, back on the shop deal. The shop burned, and it was probably close to my dream shop.
Yeah, it had everything in it.
Pretty well everything I owned was in that shop.
Yeah.
And
it even had a place, like, I work from home, so it had I had an office in there, so I could just kind of go over there and be away from the house, like I kind of did go to work, every day. And that shop burned, and then he built a new shop for himself, for a wood shop and a tool shop, something that he needed. And our daughter just wanted to move kind of out of the house and not be up under us. And so we decided to convert half of that shop into a tiny apartment for her. And
just to let her get
get out of the house. And that way she's not, you do everything you can do for your kids, but that way she's not having to pay, for rent or something like that, until she can get, her job going and get her stuff established. That's good for her, and just something that we wanted to do for her, so she would not have to go, even if it was buying a camper or whatever, because we talked about that too. And that would be a needless expense for her until she can just get established in life.
We talked about building a tiny house, but for right now, she's living there, and we'll see how it goes. You know, so.
And we may build a tiny house. Like we said, we have all this acreage, and we could, build her a tiny house if it come to that. So we'll see.
Maybe when the time's right, she'll just get married and go.
You think so?
And I can have my shop back.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
But yeah, things with us don't go as planned because we really, I don't know. We were really hoping to have that shop, but it's okay.
Yeah.
We have some other options, but we're looking at building a shop eventually with my son so he can do some mechanic stuff, and, we'll probably go that route. But, the point is, with our life, it doesn't go as planned either.
It doesn't. I don't think anybody's life goes as planned. And if you think it's going to go as planned, it's not. Especially on a homestead and just life in general. So we're really glad to be able to bring you, our real life.
Ooh, this thing's getting hot.
Yeah, it is.
We've got a little heat. You can't really see it, but ouch.
Did you burn yourself? A propane heater.
Yeah, a little propane heater. Because it starting off about an hour ago, it was 34 degrees out here. Yesterday in shorts, today 34 degrees. But
yeah, speaking of weather, we never know. You were saying, I think I interrupted you. We never know what the weather is going to be in Mississippi. Yeah. So, it was hot last week. It was pouring down rain yesterday morning. And now it's turned cold.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be cold for the next week, in the 50s during the day and 30s at night.
Well, that's fine because I'm not really ready for the grass to grow.
No, you have to cut it. Yeah, that's another thing. You do have to cut grass.
And let me say this. When we lived at our other house, I cut the grass at sometimes twice a week, because we tried to have that perfect yard because that was the neighborhood. And here, I've kind of, we're just real. I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes the grass may get a little tall. I try to keep it cut, but, we don't have a yard guy.
This is Autumn, our dog. Well, it's actually our daughter's dog, but she's staying with us right now. She's our grand dog.
Yeah.
If you have a homestead, it's a good idea if you're going to have animals to have some kind of, Autumn doesn't guard like she should. She doesn't go outside. She's more of I don't know, she's spoiled, I guess. But if you're going to have animals in a farm, it may be a good idea to look into having a dog. I think, is it the Great Pyrenees or something that a lot of farms have?
That's trained to
to protect the animals. That's one thing you could look into. We hadn't really had a need for that. We have our roosters and they guard our chickens. The roosters guard the hens. And we do have a rooster and some hens that free range. And so far, nothing's gotten them or nothing's happened to them.
Something did get the rooster, though.
Yeah, the old rooster. But it's because he was outside at night.
Yeah, well, we had a rooster that he got real mean, and so we decided we were going to let him free range. He started sleeping on my tractor, and it just kind of got messy, so I evicted him from there.
And then he was sleeping on the ground at night.
Yeah, he got to sleep on the ground, and it wasn't we probably should have had him a little safer place to sleep.
But a coyote got him.
Yeah. So, it got him at night, but that was awful.
It was awful.
They didn't like the rooster, but he was, but we still love he was part of the family.
Yeah.
He was that family member you just don't want to be around. but that is one thing that you might want to think about if you're thinking about having a homestead and having lots of animals, to get a guard dog that'll kind of keep the predators away and stuff. Yeah. One day we might have a guard dog, but
not a little dog, a big old dog.
Yeah.
So, and train them and stuff, around your chickens, not to chase them and that kind of stuff. But
none of our dogs, even the neighbors' dogs, never bother the chickens. No,
they don't.
The chickens free range, and the neighbors' dogs come over here, and they're almost like our dogs because they're real friendly. I'd call them the neighborhood dog. And, they're very friendly, and they're just.
And another thing is, if you have a barn, you have a problem with rodents and stuff, you might want to think about getting a cat. They do catch rodents. Our cat that comes outside does. He's a big old cat, but he likes to catch the rodents. I'll find he'll catch moles.
Does he still catch them?
Yeah, I think he does. Now. He's gotten a little lazy, but I think he still catches the moles.
There's some young cats running around that take up
take care of the. Yeah, they do. I think maybe he's decided that the young cats can catch all of the rodents, and he'll just lay back and watch
that
them.
does help. It's having something catch
predators,
the mice and stuff around here, because if not, mice in the country get kind of bad.
Yeah. Now the thing about your garden, one thing is, if you do have your chickens that are free ranging in the summertime, you may want to kind of put a fence around it, because they will go peck your tomatoes and stuff in the garden. So at least have some kind of small fence around it so they won't get in it.
Now I think we're going to put electric fence around the raised beds.
It's going to be kind of down towards the pond, and sometimes we see some predators and stuff down there, and I think that's a good idea to have a electric fence around that. But anyway, we appreciate y'all watching this morning, and we're going to go get ready for church.
We got to get ready for church. So our church starts a little late, so but we're going to get ready for church, and we're hoping to do this every weekend. Yeah.
So, and we'll have a fireside chat one day this week. Probably. We just enjoy sitting by the fire during the week.
Thursday night.
Yeah, maybe Thursday night. We'll have a fire if it's not raining, and just chat around the fire about whatever. We kind of like having a fire once in a while outside. It's nice, especially in the wintertime, to sit out by the campfire.
Yeah.
So we'll look forward to it. It'll be the weather. The weather will be good this week for that campfire. Last week it was kind of warm, but this week it'll be great.
So our next live stream is going to be coming up Thursday, so hope to see you then. And we're going to put some more videos out too. So and every day our Silky's live camera is going to. So hope you all have a good Sunday and get started to a good week, and hope to see you then. Thanks for watching.